Hello and welcome to episode 75 of Preachin on Preacher at the Movies. I'm Aidan Ralph.
I'm Michael Ormond.
I'm Joe Lennon.
My name is Ken.
I'm Ken.
Hey, there it is. Okay.
You know, Mick, this screensaver is very calming to me.
I think
Yeah.
it's Hong Kong.
No, I
Is
think is it Cork?
No, Cork wishes it was. That,
Okay,
that
you know,
nice.
it's like we're reading off lines of our
Yeah.
blooper reel. Okay, this is awful.
75.
Oh.
75. Yeah, I forgot the 75 joke. Can we
Shocking.
please? Who wrote that song anyway? It's awful.
Okay, all right, that
Um,
video has to be kept in of our take. That's how it should start off.
I will put that as a blooper at the end of the podcast.
What was I going to say? So in part one, we're going to be talking about Full Metal Jacket
Mhm.
in honor of the relatively recent passing of Orly Ermey. He wasn't that old either, by the way. He was, 74?
Sorry, it was
74.
it was actually the
75.
Connells that wrote that song.
Yeah, I was
On
just
that
looking
song.
up.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm just seeing that. Who are they? Was it just one? There must have just a one-hit
I
wonder.
know, Mick's been saying it for the last couple of weeks, and
Last week and this week.
Yeah. God, that
it's
song
like next
sucks.
week you get to do 74.
That song
75.
sucks.
And then 74 came along, and it was like
76.
74.
Ah.
I'll just do it for every week.
Now it's done now.
Yeah.
You have to find a song that has 76 in it now for next week.
Anyway,
was-
They had 7 members
did they? Jesus. It took 7 people to make that piece of shit.
to count 2 numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Between
In fairness, they're two large numbers.
it must have been focus groups and stuff. So, okay, so like, and then 74. What's after that? What is it?
They were counting on their previous members.
Yeah, I'd quit that band if I was making songs that bad. Anyway, so part one, we're talking about Full Metal Jacket in
Mhm.
honor of Orly Ermey. In part two, we're going to be talking about best and worst war films ever made. So, gentlemen, how are your weeks?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
I was going to make you tired, but no, I'm not. I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
Quiet enough in work, but keeping busy.
Yeah.
And dog is finally back from the vet, but yeah, ear seems grand. Now her leg seems to be going. So it's like,
Oh, Jesus.
fuck's sake.
How old is that dog?
6.
Here.
So not,
Not
old.
even 6. 5.5.
Yeah, it's not old.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I don't know. It's these things all just happen to come along at once.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah.
That's the rule of 3, isn't it?
Mhm. This will be the
Yeah.
third one, so that's it then.
Things seem very woof with the dog.
Yes.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, Mick's
My dog
not
is
impressed.
suffering, and you're here making jokes.
Isn't that what we're all doing? Isn't
I
that the
am
nature of this podcast?
offended.
Ah, Mick, you haven't got a leg to stand on.
Oh, God.
Just like your
Wow.
dog.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Too far?
You better hope she doesn't have something very wrong with her. I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you,
come
and
on.
you're going to feel bad.
Do not throw that on me.
I just did.
That's not fair.
I just did.
Stop trying to bark orders, Mick.
Oh, my God.
Oh, what a
Full
great
Metal
start.
Jacket.
No, we didn't get through our weeks. We only
Yeah,
talked
well,
about
I don't
yours.
care about your week.
Oh, wow. Fuck. Okay.
Moving on then, Ken, how was your week?
Holy shit.
No, Joe, I'm only messing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ken?
Do I have to answer this?
Yeah, well, only if you want to. It's like, how was your week? I'd
He's
rather not
terrified.
say.
He's terrified. Now that you're asking him questions and they're like including him, he's
I'm
like,
put
what
on
the
the spot. I
fuck?
don't know
Yeah.
what to do here.
I
how
only
do
signed on
Google
to be a
this?
producer.
How do I Google how my
So,
week
Ken, how was your week?
was?
How was your week?
It's going to give me like them websites again for like all the debt stuff.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
last week.
God.
Oh,
So,
God.
apart from that, my week was okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, an alright week.
Yeah.
Stressful the last 2 days, but like,
My week was quite stressful.
I had
in
my
work as well,
assessment
so-
in work.
Oh, yeah. How did that
Yeah.
go?
Really well.
Are you on,
really
you're
well.
not on probation still, are you?
I think I can officially say it's over because he definitely offered me
The dick.
Yeah.
to extend my contract anyway. As
You
I
want
was
your
to-
contract
as I was
extended?
told this morning.
Get on your knees.
They definitely
That's
want to
good.
extend my contract.
Commiserations.
Supposedly that's what everybody says. Like, it's like, oh, they want to keep you on. Yeah. Actually, it went really well. Actually, it didn't. Whoa, the TV
What
just
happened to
went.
screensaver?
What
It
happened to
goes off.
Cork?
It goes off after a while.
Cork is gone.
Yeah, where'd Cork go?
If
Wait,
you
that
want
was
to
Actually,
Cork.
that's more accurate to what Cork looks like. Just
black hole of despair.
Wow.
Whoa, there's a lot of hatred for Cork in this room.
Yeah,
I don't hate
yes.
Cork.
But yes,
Um,
that was my week. Actually, it
yeah.
ended in all right. I have to say.
You
Your
could now
microphone's
again.
gone
What the
weird,
fuck
yeah.
is going with the microphone?
Yeah, just be careful with the
That's very weird.
Anyway.
And you give out about my microphone, but it's
At least yours works.
yeah, mine's not good now.
Is
You
it mine
seem
working?
fine now,
Yeah, it's fine.
Um,
Yeah, it was pretty good because in the last week we had also Infinity War. Didn't we? Or we
oh
talked,
yeah,
I didn't get to talk about it. We're not going to talk about that
Because I
film,
have not
but I've
seen
definitely
it.
seen it twice now. So
yeah.
You've definitely
seen it
seen it
again,
twice
did you?
I
now.
have, yeah, definitely.
Okay, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Why
you're
would
sure.
you say definitely seen it twice? Like, were you unsure until?
Till right then.
Although I'm unsure if I've seen Iron Man 3 or not still, so I can't remember if I've seen it or not.
I have not.
Well, there you go.
Iron
What about you,
Man-
Aiden? How was your week?
It was good. It was quite stressful and work and stuff. By the way, just before I forget, Iron Man turned 10 like this week.
Yay.
first one, just in
I
case
did
anyone-
see John Favreau put up.
Yeah.
He goes, the anniversary was yesterday. He goes,
It was
this
a couple
day
of days ago,
10
I
years
think.
ago, it was day one of filming of Iron Man,
Mhm.
and not knowing what it would
No.
actually
Like
become or
it was
something.
released like during the week 10 years ago.
You sure? Because he
Yeah.
put up a thing saying with it behind the scenes. It's
Well,
like
he's wrong.
day
then.
one of filming.
No, I'm afraid I can fucking just look it up now. But anyway,
All right.
yeah, my week is pretty good, although it's pretty stressful in work. I'm glad it's a bank holiday weekend.
I know.
3 days.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And Backlash is on Sunday, so I can actually maybe stay up and watch the rest of it.
Is
Sorry,
it?
sorry,
God damn.
Aiden. 2 days ago, May 2nd.
There you go. I knew it was this week, and it was literally released.
It was released.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
That's
John
weird,
Favreau
though.
was wrong.
Like
Joe.
that's a cool little anniversary.
Yeah.
Like because of how like the film Infinity War this week.
Mhm.
Who knew that would spiral? I think I've mentioned it before, but do you know the after credit scene where it shows? I want to talk to you about the Avengers
Mhm.
initiative. Complete piss take on
Yeah,
Favreau's.
you were
Okay.
saying that, yeah.
He always said it in interviews where it was like, yeah, we just did that as a joke,
Yeah,
but Kevin Feige thought it would be a good idea, and look what we've got now.
yeah.
Mm.
You were telling me a story. This has nothing to do with anything, but you were telling me a story earlier on, which I think you should share on the podcast.
Oh
because it's-
fuck yes! It's the greatest
No,
fucking.
it's none. The story's nothing to do with Joe, as far as I know. But he just read it on the Independent. He thought it was funny, and he read it to me. I thought it was also very funny. So I think you should bring that shit up right now,
I've lost.
just-
I've lost.
just
my-
for
There you go.
just for your entertainment.
I did. I actually went and got it. So the headline reads: "Alter sex act by man in priest vestments is caught on
Alter
camera."
sex act.
All right, yeah. So this is where it gets
so
really
it's-
good.
This is on independent.ie, by the way, so it's
Yeah.
legit.
So it's the Independent. It was in the paper this morning.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The Catholic Church has called Gardaí to investigate images apparently showing a man in priest vestments performing a sex act on the altar of an Irish church.
But wait, it
Uh,
gets better.
The Catholic Church confirmed to the Irish Independent that matter had been reported to the Gardaí, and a full investigation is expected to follow onto the apparent sacrilege. Oh, this is
Is that
amazing.
how it's written?
It is
That
just
does
how it's
not
written.
sound
Yeah.
like professional journalism.
Oh, it is. This is the weird thing. This is Ireland at its best, all right? Oh, okay. There's no suggestion that the intimate act is not consensual. However, they have been described as deeply sacrilegious in their depiction of a priest or a man dressed as a priest. Oh, okay. So here's where
Here's
it
the
gets
kicker.
good.
Here's the kicker.
All right. The priest had questioned a few things. How many people had received communion at the altar of the parish since this violation, or had been confirmed, buried, or married from it?
No, that's not my
Oh.
favorite part. Read my favorite
Your favorite part is this,
Yeah.
isn't it? Where is it? No, hold on. Why isn't it reading?
I think
right?
I'm missing how funny
Wait,
this is.
wait
There
for it.
must be something I'm missing.
It was two guys.
It was two guys.
It was a guy
Okay.
fucking
So,
a guy.
It was two men dressed as a priest fucking on the altar of a church down the country, all right? But they don't know if it's a priest, an actual priest, and his lover, or
Yeah.
two gay guys who just decided to wander into a church and go, you know what? Let's do
Do
this.
you know what we've never done before? We've never done on the altar of a church.
You're gone again.
You're
Joe.
gone again. What is wrong with your microphone this week?
No, no.
In the name
Is
of the
it-
Father,
Can you hear?
Son,
Ye-
Seaman.
And the holy cock. Yeah, I thought it was a funny anecdote. It's a pity like that Mick is very unamused. I think Mick is like super Catholic. That's what I'm learning right
Unless it was.
I
Mick.
laughed quite a lot at it.
now. I did notice his face drop just as we were telling the story.
I just love the
Yeah.
idea of like
Sex.
let's just go to a church and fuck on the altar.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Look, there's a priest's outfit over there.
I have never been
Let's
in that
wear it.
particular church.
But
You know? It's like, oh God, was it me? No, it wasn't me.
so it finishes off with
Hey,
Which
Crazy.
one?
Yeah, which
the
one?
diocese is concerned and declined to give an indication as to whether the church has to be reconsecrated.
That's good shit. I don't care what you guys say. That's
I
good shit.
fucking love Ireland and its headlines.
Yeah.
Mick is not impressed though.
Who?
Look.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Dude's got it off on an altar.
Do you
in
know
a
what?
church.
Sometimes you're drier than Gandhi's flip flop. You really are. Anyway,
So
Full Metal.
related to the topic, Full Metal Jack-Off.
Yeah, so Full
Full
Metal
Metal
Jack Off. Sorry, Full Metal Jacket. So I'd seen it before. Joe had seen it before. You'd
Yeah.
obviously seen it before, Ken. You'd only seen the
I'd
the
seen
boot
half
camp
of
bit.
it, yeah.
Actually, the first time I'd seen some of it, was on RTE one night. My parents started taping because they thought it was funny and stuff. They thought we'd enjoy it, and then it got to that part where Ermey's character gets killed, and then obviously the film goes in a different direction because they actually go to Vietnam and stuff.
Yeah.
And when they were talking to the hooker, and I just remember like vividly on our videotape, there's a bit of a conversation with a hooker, and my parents were like, "No, I'm not letting the kids watch this." And she stopped the tape, so I never saw the second half for years.
Me so horny.
We love you long time. So that was my initial reaction to it was just seeing the humor in that first sort of third or half of the film or whatever.
I actually didn't remember the whole opening scene. Like the way that even opens, like, all right, the barber chair is a really cool opening.
Yeah.
But goddamn, that barber's rough.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say it's
fuck
just
me,
literally
goes
shaving
for
their
it.
head and doesn't care. Just
They did actually get that done as
yeah.
well.
I
which
imagine
is
that was just them filming them getting their head shaved for the film. So
Class.
it's just like
absolutely
it's a
class.
good idea.
And then it cuts into basically the boot camp, and that. I hope I'm correct. I know in some of the things, it's almost like a one take shot, which I think we've discussed before. I'm a big fan of.
Yeah,
The
it
way
follows him around from the front as he's walking around. I think there
So
are cuts in it, but
It's a steady cam, I think,
Yeah.
probably, or something
He
like that.
spits off those lines so fucking.
Much of
I
which was
laughed for the
improvised and
first
stuff.
10 minutes of that film.
yeah.
Like,
You know, a
So
lot
he-
of that's improvised as well. Hopefully that's one of your facts.
it is. Yeah, there's.
I think,
have his
yeah, I
exact
think
amount.
if I remember right, what they were saying happened was he was brought on as like an advisor to the
He
film
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and said like, "Oh, I want to audition for this part," and Kubrick was like, "You're not mean enough," so he recorded himself. He recorded himself chastising all of the potential actors, like doing their like auditions.
I have the exact quote
Yeah.
from Kubrick. Actually, it won't be part of my thing, but Ernie went to director Stanley Kubrick and asked for the role of Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. In his opinion, the actors on the set were not up to the stuff. When Kubrick declined, Ernie barked an order for Kubrick to stand up when he was spoken to, and the director instinctively obeyed. Ernie got the role soon after. Like that's
But yeah,
fucking cool.
yeah, I read
Like,
another
that
one
doesn't
where it was
happen
like,
often.
so he recorded himself making up all these insults for the other actors coming in, and a lot of what he recorded in those tapes ended up becoming his lines in the film.
That's another fact. Yeah, well, there's so many, so we won't be able to
Yeah.
run out this. He over 150 pages of insults and dialogue that he wrote. It's one of the first times that because Kubrick's really fucking tight on his films. He almost has nearly 100% control, and he's really a control freak in a way. And that's why he made such fucking fantastic films. But Orly Ernie was one of those ones.
It's Ermey, isn't it?
Ernie?
Ermey.
Oh, I said Ernie. Okay. Talking Hill of the Dead.
Yeah.
Shit.
But no, he's got his
Just
name
talking,
wrong.
He
talking
broke
wrong with the
Kubrick.
dead.
Yeah.
He broke Kubrick, like, which hadn't been done before. It was like, no, I'll do my lines. It was like, no, I'll tell you what I actually said to recruits back when I was doing this as a job.
Yeah.
And if that's the way he talks to people, fuck, he'd be terrified. Yeah, I heard that this time. Did you hear it in my mic?
Well,
Yeah.
wasn't
Doesn't
it
sound
that
nice.
like the guy that he replaces the actor, Tim something, I can't think of his name. He tired out after like nearly every scene of
He's in
giving
the film
abuse
as well.
to them. He's
got
in it,
another
but
part.
he got tired of yelling, so that's when the director was like, "We're gonna have to find someone else." To replace
Tim
him."
Colseri?
And then he came in.
Yeah,
Is
he's
it
the guy
Tim?
in the helicopter.
Oh,
you know, that's talking
the
about
Gunner.
killing children and women and
Yeah.
children. Yeah. He's the he found that part.
if they
Tim
roll,
Colseri.
he's the guy that's like, if they run, they're Viet Cong.
Yeah.
If they don't run, they're disciplined Viet Cong. And it's as he's
Fucking
just
psycho.
yeah.
Like, especially when you see the camera actually pans
And
finally.
it's just farmers.
You don't
in a
think
field.
it's going to pan, and it does pan, and you're like, oh, fuck. Like they're running across a little bridge. Eek.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, for me, this was kind of just looking at an overall perspective, it was really a film of two halves.
You had the
So-
first half, and then you had the second half. Yeah, I
But
think.
it also, in terms of quality, in my opinion, it's a film of two halves as well. So, like, the first half, you've got the drill instructor stuff. You've
Yeah.
got the great performances from Ermey and from,
Private Pile.
yeah,
the
I'm trying to
actor,
remember.
Unbelievable.
Vincent
Forgot how
D'Onofrio.
good he
Vincent
was.
D'Onofrio, yeah.
D'Onofrio, yeah.
Both of those guys, amazing. Like,
Yeah.
D'Onofrio's transformation from, like, the pudgy, affable recruit into the fucking psychopath who ends up killing he kills the drill sergeant
He was
in the
broken.
bathroom. Yeah,
Well,
he's
one thing-
broken.
A difference that I noticed as an adult watching it
Mm-hmm.
is I question if he's actually fully there in the head to begin with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
I
even
think-
make
yeah.
mention of that. They say he's going to be sectionated, which is like
Yeah.
the insane.
You can notice
Wow.
it beforehand when he gets put with not Cowboy. What's the
Joker?
Joker.
Cowboy.
And Joker is teaching him things
Mm-hmm.
almost like a 5-year-old child.
Yeah,
And I think
Yeah.
either maybe something happened to him when he was a kid or something, that kind
Mhm.
of thing, or there's definitely something not mentally right with him. I
Yeah.
think, but it's definitely from the offset. It wasn't a breakdown of himself. I think he's just one of those.
Well, didn't they say, like in bonuses and stuff afterwards, that Joker kind of played like the mother role towards
Yeah.
him,
mm-hmm.
and then the sergeant was like the father role, the abusive role,
Yeah.
and then that's what kind of made him snap towards the end.
Oh, you can see the reasons for snapping. Like there's 100 reasons.
Well, yeah, it
for
was an
that.
8-week boot camp where he was
Like-
endlessly tortured and got the shit beaten out of him in that fucking towel. Like, where they finally have enough of him and everyone in the bunk beats him up with
Oh,
the
fuck
bars
yeah.
of soap in the towel.
It's
Yeah.
rough. It's
Yeah. And
um,
Matthew Modine, or Joker, like, goes to town on him.
Yeah.
He's initially hesitant, but then he's like, no, I'm the squad leader, and then beats the fuck out of him.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when that turn happens, because it's just like, the
Everybody
next
hates
scene
me.
after is the one where he's doing really well with the gun, and it's just like he's focused now, and he's...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the moment of breakage
Mhm.
for his character.
Mhm.
And it was leading up to it. Like, you see him do so well, and then you'll see a next scene where they're all running, and then he's following behind with his thumb in his mouth,
Mm-hmm.
pants around his ankles. Like, it's just like, oh, that's kind of funny, but at the same time, mentally fucking shattering
Mm-hmm.
for that thing. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's
come back
tough
to
scenes.
come back to the original point. It was like the film, for me anyway, had a definite drop off in quality once the boot camp stuff was done.
100%.
I think
Yeah.
the actual war part of it
Was quite
felt
unfocused, I
kind
thought.
of aimless. It was kind of just
A little bit.
some stuff kind of happens, and obviously you've got the big reveal. Like, the whole point of the second part seems to be that Joker's bigging himself up as he's been under fire and he's great, but then someone says he doesn't have that 1,000-yard stare that you get when you've killed somebody.
And that
And
film,
then-
yeah.
Obviously, at the very end, he kills the sniper who ends up being like a 14-year-old
Yeah.
girl, and then he's just staring dead-eyed into the camera, and that's like, oh, he's finally got his 1,000
1,000
yard stare. So there's obviously that full line through, but it just felt like the scenes in the war part of the film were kind of just, well, here's one scene, here's another scene, here's another scene.
Just sort of like, yeah.
You're gone again.
What is wrong with your fucking mic?
Doing
I know
anything
you're
to
looking
it.
at
You might
it.
just have to hold the bottom in. I think that cable might be gone.
Yeah.
Like normal for
There
the
you
last
go.
couple of
Just
minutes.
hold it with the steel, maybe, like, or something like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And hold
I
my dick like this.
I fully agree that it drops off
Mhm.
completely. Like,
Yeah.
I looked at my notes there before we even started, and I'd say 75% is the actual boot camp,
Mm-hmm.
because I had so much to talk about with it.
It's fucking
Yeah.
gone again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, you're grand.
But the rest, there are about 4 or 5 of them where I'm like, I remember this being fully different or more enjoyable, but I think I start to lose interest in some of the scenes.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
Yeah,
what the
and
fuck?
they even came back to some of the same jokes, or not jokes, but come back to the same lighter moments. So obviously the first thing you mentioned about the war part was the, oh, me love you long time, sucky, sucky, $5.
Mm.
They basically do that same thing again
Oh.
halfway through when the guy on the bike
Oh, yeah.
brings the other girl in, and it was basically the same thing again.
Too big.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like,
Yeah, I
this
think
is Alabama
Now,
black
the
snake.
the tension in the very last scene where they're kind of stuck out
yeah,
in no man's land.
that draws you back in. But
yeah.
like, I think that the boot camp is amazing.
Yeah,
It's
that
sort of
last bit.
the
was
boot
amazing,
camp at
but
the last
stuff,
part, but just the stuff in between the two,
yeah,
just
was just
it
it felt
doesn't,
weak to me.
a little
and it
bit.
kinda,
Yeah, well, he split it into 3 mini movies.
Mhm.
So there is that first part of the boot camp. The way you were saying it was like, I felt like it was split in 2.
Yeah.
The way he made it was split into actually 3.
Mhm.
So there was the boot camp, and then the middle part
Yeah.
where they're all chilling around, everything's
Yeah.
cool, and then the physical war part.
Yeah.
But like 90% of reviews and stuff that are out there, or anybody that has
Mhm.
wrote about the movie,
Yeah,
has said that anybody then that they have talked to about the movie only considers it a 45-minute movie, which
Wow.
is the length of the boot camp.
Mhm.
And then after that, it's just rubbish.
Yeah. I think rubbish is probably too harsh. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's still all right, but it's kind of like I'll watch the boot camp part again because that's just
yeah,
that goes by so quick. It's entertaining. There's a good, true story to it, and you get a conclusion at the end where, you know, he kills the gunnery sergeant and then himself.
I found the acting dropped off
Mm.
quite a bit in the second half.
I think
From
Empire Magazine are normally like they're ones.
You tend to trust those
I tend
guys,
to trust
yeah.
them a lot. They gave it 3 stars, and their synopsis of it is pretty great. Their final line, whatever. A hardy Kubrickian effort that warms you with repeated viewings. That is, if you love Kubrick, long time. So they gave it 3 stars, and they're like, you know,
Mhm.
just basically they're saying what we're saying. It kind of drops off a little bit after the boot camp.
yeah.
Now maybe your rewards on repeated viewings. You've seen it a few times, Ken, right?
Yeah, no, the last time I watched it, I think it was about a year and a half ago. I meant
Yeah.
to try to get a chance to watch it
Mhm.
beforehand, but I was
Yeah.
only trying, like, looking up, like,
Yeah,
little recap type
Yeah.
things before we came up here tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be the exact same after the boot camp type thing. It would
yeah,
kind of be like, no, it's just another war film.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
But
not,
I wouldn't
not
even
a great
mind that
one either.
if the message was if there was a film worth watching there.
Yeah.
But I think outside of
It
that
looks
twe-
deadly.
outside of that last 15 or 20 minutes, when it's a single continuous scene of them being
Yeah.
pinned down and trying to get around that sniper and eventually getting into the building, like the bits before that are very forgettable.
The-
Yeah.
To
one-
me, anyway, I just think they're
One
super
part that really
forgettable.
angered me, not angered, but I was just like, wow, that's actually bad. Where they're giving out the assignments
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
tent, that scene is horrid. Like, even the actors to it is horrid, the way it's done. The main guy, I've seen him better in other films.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy who's giving out the assignments, but he spits off his lines with
Like wooden.
very wooden and
Mhm.
What the guy that's giving
hardly-
the assignments like?
yeah, hardly understandable at times.
Yeah.
So he speaks on something, and then it's like, oh, I'll change that, and you're like, none of that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like, I actually couldn't understand it. The viewer who doesn't know, like, the thing is, like, I actually don't get that
Yeah.
at all. And then it moved to the next one. It was like, oh, we're on our way to find Cowboy. Found Cowboy. Oh, shit, we're pinned down. That seems like the whole second half for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
And
little
it
bit.
doesn't even drag. It's pretty quick. But took a while to get really in there.
Did you
for me.
notice actually when during the scene where the POG colonel is asking about the peace sign on the peace badge
Yeah.
on Joker's uniform, it disappears in between shots.
Does it?
It fucking like he's talking to him. He says, "What's with the peace badge?" And it cuts to him, and it cuts back, and the fucking badge is gone. I actually rewound. I was like, "Did the fucking badge just go?" And like it wouldn't be as noticeable if it wasn't for the fact that they were talking about the fucking
Yeah,
badge.
it
during
was
the
the
scene.
point of the
And it literally cuts to your man, and just a couple of things there, it cuts back, and the badge is gone. It's
I
fucking
want you to
ridiculous.
piss you off that every time he's asked about it, he just says, I don't know. And you're like, well, come on, you gotta fucking stand for
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
Either stand for peace or stand for war.
It helps
It was
that that Joker's a really likable character in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he does very well
But
with
it's-
that role. But
It also kind of is weird because he had no problem talking to the gunnery sergeant, going, "I don't believe in Mary."
yeah,
And
Oh,
that
yeah.
was pretty.
chastises him
That's
for that.
badass. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
that
like
was like, and it just because he was right and he knew he was right. That was like, no matter what answer I gave, I'm gonna get punished, either
Yeah.
for changing my opinion or for not believing in Mary. And
So I
then he
might as well
gets
stand for it.
and he gets rewarded by becoming the team squad or the squad leader at that section.
I have a question for you, actually. Do you know
Okay.
the way Ermey was a consultant, then he ended up getting a role in the
Mhm.
film? Was he a consultant for the whole thing still, or what's the story?
I imagine
know?
so.
because I have
I
it
think
on.
he was just because he was a drill sergeant on that island that they're talking about.
Yeah.
The reason I ask
Right.
is that I have it on Blu-ray at home, and one of the commentary tracks has Ermey on it. So like
Nice.
after he dies in the film, are you like, what's he?
Well, I'm out.
Oh.
And there's
Oh,
no more
that's
commentary. Yeah.
I'm done. See
I'm
yous
gonna
later.
go. I'm gonna go and get a meatball sandwich. He just fucks off.
It's just the sound of him eating for 40
Yeah.
minutes. It's good.
Yeah.
Jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Fuck
the
yeah, that
jelly
was
donuts.
cruel.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was a rough scene.
Yeah.
Did not realize or had forgotten until I watched it last night that Matthew Modine is in Stranger Things. Or that the actor in Full Metal Jacket is in Stranger Things.
Who's he in Stranger Things?
He plays the doctor of 11. The white-haired guy?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
never
it.
even caught
I
that.
didn't
Neither did I
know
either.
The
Yeah.
guy who plays Private Pyle is
Is-
in Men in Black.
Yeah, he's the bug man.
He's the bug
Yeah,
man.
but he's also Kingpin.
Yeah, he's Kingpin,
Kingpin in Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Fuck, he
yeah.
is, yeah.
No way.
And he is a detective. If you watch Law and Order Criminal Intent.
How many of those shows have you watched, Mick?
They
You
do
know
be
all
on.
of those. Like
They
Law
do
and
be,
Order.
they do be
and-
on.
Did he be on by?
Fuck, man.
It's good. What? Literally, I would come home from work and you'd put on like Universal,
Mm.
and there's
Yeah.
2 hours of Law and Order starting from 7 till 9. It's like, okay, yeah, it's background.
Yeah.
Good show.
Background. You're like lodged into the screen when that's on.
Do 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 do.
Oh, yeah, that's where that song is from. Oh my god, it's like a pop culture thing. I always hear it, like on either like
Main
videos
gu-
and stuff.
Guy
It's
who
like,
created it, Dick Wolf.
Really? Wow, that's impressive.
I used
name
to
right
laugh
there.
at that as a kid.
Dick Wolf.
I still laugh at it now.
Do you want to go? I got some lines that I'd like
Yes.
to.
Alright.
All right, get to the lines.
Hang on, wait.
Oh, hang on, I have
I-
a thing here.
All right, yeah, you do that. I
I'm
need
gonna-
to figure something out.
I'm
first.
gonna hope that this is correct. This is the right one. Oh, an advert. Oh
an
god
advert.
damn it! This is embarrassing.
Fantastic.
It's not really.
Skip.
That's it.
It's very low.
It's very low. Hang on, I'm gonna do that again. Fuck that.
All right.
Okay.
Aiden, do your
So
own.
professional.
Do your own
Today.
stinger.
Oh,
there you go. That
there
sounds
you
a bit
go.
louder.
that
I
sounds
can see
good.
that one.
No, he's putting it down again. Oh, he's putting it back up again.
And
Yep.
Earth invaders returning from Mars this year. Anyway, so
So
Oh,
your
is that what that
lions.
was? I
Oh yeah,
I
can't
didn't
hear.
know what that was.
It's the opening of the Lion King
So top 10 lines.
because he's talking about lions.
So
Get it? Get it?
you should get headphones for next week, man.
We're
It's-
funny on this podcast.
Oh, we're hilarious.
All the
I
You
was-
have to do the voice now.
I was going to try it. I don't know if I can do an orally Ermey, to be honest, but I'll try anyway.
Try it.
Well, here's something you won't like, Prophet Snowball. They don't serve fried chicken and watermelon down in mess hall every day. You
Please
clown like
don't
old
shut-
people.
I'm gonna have
Fuck
to lower
Prophet
you down.
Pile.
Well, it looks to me like the best part of you ran down the crack of your mama's ass and then a brown stain on the mattress. Oh, that is
Yeah.
good. There it is. That's one of the best ones of the whole thing.
Where are you from, anyway? Sir, Texas, sir. Texas? Holy dog shit. All these steers and queers come from Texas. You do look like a steer to me, so that narrows it down. Do you suck dick? Sir, no, sir. I bet you're the kind of guy who would fuck a man in the ass and not have the common courtesy to give him a reach around.
Fucking hell, that is an unbelievable fucking line.
What else have we got here?
Hell, I like it.
Yeah.
You can come around to my
great
house
that
and
like
fuck my
90%
sister.
of these were like ad lib.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, these are all ones
Crazy.
he's probably used on people, like, in the actual army. I'd say if someone back, like, years later was watching this film and went, holy fuck, I remember him saying that to me.
Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister. How tall are you, Private? Sir, 5'9", sir. 5'9"? I didn't know they stack shit that high.
I'll give you 3 seconds, exactly 3 fucking seconds to wipe that stupid grin off your face, or I'll gouge your eyeballs and skull fuck you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's harsh. Do you want to go to your
Well,
the facts?
do another
Well,
one.
one of the main scenes that got me when he was doing that was when he got was it Pyle to choke himself?
Oh,
Mhm.
fuck, yeah.
Oh my god! And he tried to move his hand. He's like, "No, you don't touch my hand. Choke yourself." And I was
Choke
like, "Whoa."
yourself. Wow.
That was very harsh.
There was some really harsh ones. Like, you know, he didn't exactly defuse the situation when he had the gun, did he?
No,
It
it
was
is
like,
not.
good God, the one thing that broke him and you won't stop.
Yeah.
Joe, do
ready
you
for
want
the
to do
list?
your facts?
Or the facts.
That's a fact.
Facts, Max.
Just the facts, ma'am.
All right. So there's actually
Wrong film.
so many good ones in this. So we went through that. So, wow. Where do we begin? Because there's so many. And I have so many little, like, trivia and hardcore facts behind the scenes.
Well, pick 10 of
Start
them.
somewhere, for
No,
God's sake.
yeah.
Come on.
Pick 10 of them, compile them into a list, and then read them.
Okay, so one little thing I thought was cool was Private Joker's shirt on Parasite reveals that his real name is J.T. Davis. It is a deliberate reference to Special James T. Davis, the first officially recognized U.S. casualty in Vietnam. He was killed in
okay.
1961.
Oh, nice.
So it was a little throwback. But you only ever see his name on the back of his actual
Yeah.
thing. So Orly Ermey was actually involved in a Jeep accident during the making of this film. At 1 a.m. one night, he skidded off the road, breaking all his ribs on his left side. He refused to pass out and kept flashing his car lights until a motor stopped.
He refused to pass out.
In
No, I'm not passing out.
In some scenes, you'll notice that he does not move his left arm at all. Kubrick claimed in an interview that it took 4.5 months before Ermey could return to work, in which production simply had to be suspended since he was involved in all the remaining scenes.
Nice.
So that's why this movie took a year to
Mm-hmm.
film. Most of it was waiting for him to be, yeah, we need Ermey. Yeah. So it's a common misconception that much, if not all, of Orly Ermey's dialogue during the Parasite sequence was improvised. In several interviews, Ermey himself has stated that he worked closely with Kubrick to help mould the script so that it was more believable, all while retaining certain dialogue crucial to Kubrick's vision. While filming the opening scene where he disciplines Private Cowboy, he says Cowboy's the type of guy who would have sex with another guy and not even have the goddamn courtesy to give him a reach around. Kubrick immediately yelled cut and went over to Ermey and asked, "What the hell is a reach around?" To which Ermey politely explained what it meant. Kubrick laughed and reshot the scene, telling Ermey to keep the line. Fucking fantastic. Kubrick had a weird one on set. During filming, a family of rabbits was accidentally killed. Doesn't actually tell me how, which I find
Okay,
weird.
that's just a random.
Kubrick,
They had them for
an
dinner.
animal lover, was so upset he cancelled the rest of the day's shoots
No way.
to mourn.
That's mad.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a few things with I think Ken would like this one. They'll create a realistic effect during Vietnam battle scenes. DP Douglas Milsom experimented with a camera with a shutter thrown off sync. The effect was reused in another war movie, Saving Private Ryan. So I don't know how that works,
it's
but
a
I
lens flare stuffy.
Yeah,
I think it makes it look more realistic. It was like my accident with me filming stuff, and I was doing it in wrong frame rates. It just doesn't work well for me. But when they do it in movies, it looks better.
Orly Ermey hardly blinks at all in any scene. I actually saw a count on it. He blinks 4 times in 15 minutes. Something like that during the whole opening scene. It's really creepy.
That's weird.
There was a sex scene with Private Joker and Vietnamese prostitute was cut, according to the actress and Stanley Kubrick, to cut the scene because it detracted from the cold mood of the film.
Mm-hmm.
There's a load of scenes that are supposedly cut and never seen or even put into the
Yeah, it might
Blu-rays or
explain
anything
what
like
why we considered the second half of that film kind of disjointed, if there was that many cut scenes.
Really?
Oh, so them cutscenes you think could have?
Well, I imagine they could have filled in
more
the
sense
other
to
bit and
story.
not made it seem like it was just jumping from place to place to place.
Oh, that's true, yeah. So I have a few here. I'm going to go into some of the behind the scenes ones. So the whole one thing I wanted to say was the whole story of where Orly Ermey, we had described it. He was an actual real life Paris Island marine drill instructor. During the war, he acted in other films as well, Boys and Company C and Apocalypse Now. Kubrick hired him as a technical advisor. Ernie wanted to play Hartman, of course, who dominates the first half of the movie, so he made an audition reel himself. That was the one you were talking about, in which he generated a spontaneous stream of foul-mouthed insults directed at a group of extras, all while having oranges and tennis balls thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this ran for 15 minutes. It's also rumored that Ermey had yelled at Kubrick in Hartman's character, which he did.
Yeah.
But I find it hilarious. He, like, throwing stuff at them.
Apparently,
Like-
I read somewhere that he had to catch them when they did that, and if you didn't catch them, you have to start again. And it took like 23 times for him to do it properly. It was some weird fact like that.
Well, that's impressive. So I'll choose one last
Okay.
one that I liked. and
I
it's
lost
down the
count, so I
bottom.
don't know if that was 10.
That was 8, but I have where is it? So 9. I'll put it was the first digital film,
Okay.
digitally edited by Stanley Kubrick. He'd always done splicing
Hmm.
before. That's the splitting of.
That's where you actually cut the film itself.
Yeah, and the last one will include the name. So the name Full Metal Jacket actually doesn't appear in any of the novel that it's based on. It's
Mhm.
actually
It's
called
Short
Short-timers.
timers, yeah.
Short Timers.
Can I
Cool.
throw a fact in?
You can.
Well, they
Go
did,
for it.
They didn't want to call it short timers. This is what I read. They didn't want to call it short timers because they didn't want to imply that people in the army didn't do a full day's work.
Oh,
Oh, is that what that was based
Yeah, so they just call it Full Metal Jacket.
on? Sorry, just because I mentioned the jelly donuts earlier on. That scene took 37 times to do.
Why?
The jelly donut scene took 37 takes. And on the fact list, I'm finding it goes, that's all we have to say about that. It was probably he was eating them because he put
Mhm.
on, like, 80, 90 pounds or something?
70
for that
pounds I was
role?
reading there.
He
Yeah,
had
70 pounds for the movie.
37 jelly donuts in a row.
In a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Or
read
it
that
was
about
just
that
probably
scene.
laughter.
Because most of his other
Maybe.
scenes were only 1 or 2 takes, which is very weird for Kubrick.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But supposedly Ermey was just so good at firing him off that
Mhm.
it was, no, we don't need to actually do it. Let's do it. Which it's like they broke every rule of Kubrick built like filming this film.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
We make
Okay.
the list.
Let's.
Oh,
Chip, you know what? You just made the list.
Oh, no. Oh, here we go.
Again,
I'll be
let's-
honest. I'm going to find it difficult to place this, so I'm going to start down.
I'm going to bring up the list. And so, to mention, special mention, it's their 50th.
It is.
It is
Listed
our 50th
film.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, everybody. We made it to 50.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
IMDb. If you want to view the list, you can go onto IMDb, find the Preachin on Preacher page, and we have a list in there called The List. Yes.
Oh, I think I have a place,
Yeah.
but I'm not too sure.
Well, then you don't have a place, Joe. Okay. We start the ball rolling here.
Yeah.
I am going... I preferred it to that.
Ooh. We need a drum roll.
See, it's weird because of obviously the nature of it being a combined list. There's films lower down that I wouldn't want to put it under, but films higher up that I would.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'm gonna throw out my first initial spot, and it's gonna be underneath Halloween. So at spot 32.
32. Okay, where's that? What we got? Oh wow. Okay.
Where's he saying?
32. So like,
So just above Bad Santa.
Right.
oh there.
Go down.
So just to kind of explain my thinking on it, I still think it's a great film. The inconsistency of the second half brings it down a
Yeah.
lot for me.
Yeah.
And it kind of doesn't ruin the film. That's the wrong way of thinking about it. But it definitely puts a dampener on what was such a strong opening first half. And then it's just kind of like, okay, this just evolved into a random kind of assortment of scenes that don't really,
Yeah.
I don't think, mesh too well together.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for that reason, I would have said 32. So just above Bad Santa. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, my initial thought as I scrolled through the list was around the maybe 29th, 30th place.
Mhm.
May-
so I
maybe
originally-
even below Apollo.
I originally
13
contemplated
maybe?
below Apollo 13 because I think I prefer it over... Like, so, again, because it's a combined list, I like Halloween more than this film.
So do I. I'm Crazy Stupid Love and Apple.
Yeah.
So
You know what? Above Bad Santa would actually not do too bad of a place. Now that I think about the two above it.
Mhm, but I would put this above Popstar, for example.
yeah, well, yeah.
But obviously, combined list and
Yeah.
Popstars, you guys love that film.
What do you think, Kim? You can't see the list, can you?
Oh, I have it here in front.
Oh, okay.
of
Right.
me. I don't know because like I've always loved this movie.
Hmm
So
I will absolutely say I coming into watching it yesterday and thinking a preemptive kind of where am I thinking it'll be on the list. I did not envisage it being down that low.
I thought it'd be in the top 12.
I
at
was
least,
I was
maybe,
thinking it would be, you know,
But it's
getting up there. But
it's definitely not better than Popstar, though.
you know, I try to base it myself on things like which one would I rather watch if I was given only those two.
Like I was looking at that spot around there, being like, "Is it better than Apollo 13?" When just before you start mentioning it, and I'm like, "Oh."
The correct answer to that question is no.
Yeah.
Apollo 13 is a more consistent and better.
I'd watched Anvil, the story of Anvil again more than it because that was a fantastic documentary.
Yeah,
great,
obviously everything here is subjective because it's kind of just how do you feel at the time. But
I'd be really happy with the above Bad Santa actually.
Yeah, so
because I would definitely watch Halloween more than it or Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're in agreement. Full Metal Jacket slides its way in at number 32.
Yep. Just before we move on to part 2, I've one question for Joe, and Ken will explain this afterwards. But my question is, Joe.
Where is your honor, dirtbag? You are an absolute disgrace.
Sorry, I just had to ask that question. Anyway, are we ready to move on to part 2?
I'm not giving you an audio hookup next time.
Why not? I just had to do it. In honor of Orly Ermey, I had to do it.
Final thoughts on... I think we kind of gave them in
I think we did, during the list,
but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uneven, I would say.
Uneven.
The film
It's a 50-50
Uneven,
film.
but I would watch...
50% good, 50% meh.
Give me the first half of that film. Then I'll be grand. I'll just turn it off.
The first 45 minutes and the last 15 to 20, that's like half the film. So, yeah. I would watch it again, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did enjoy.
Sorry, where did it go on the list?
Between Bad Santa and Halloween?
Yeah.
Which is what number?
32.
Oh, god damn it.
Why?
Because if it was 31, it was released 31 years ago.
What's
it's
pity?
above Halloween. No.
I guess it won't get that honor.
It'll be still in the same spot next year.
Because I was thinking about it when you mentioned that. I was like, wait, that was about 30 odd years ago. I had to whip out the old calculator. The maths isn't the best.
Quick maths. So let's move on to part 2 then. Join us in part 2, people. We're going to be talking about the best and worst war movies of all time. And welcome to part 2 of Preachin on Preacher at the Movies. So this week we are talking about best and worst war movies. You know, I was almost going to do the whole thing where, do you remember when we did best and worst musicals?
Mm-hmm.
I watched the bad musical. Oh, that camera's fucked again, Mick. Can you just turn it a little bit if that's all right?
We're a little bit at angle, yeah. Mick looks like a giant.
To explain, Ken, for the best and worst musicals thing that we did like in January, I decided to watch Paint Your Wagon.
Gonna
paint a wagon,
gonna
paint it good.
We ain't bragging, we're gonna
paint
cook that
wood.
I was actually going to sing the Simpsons version.
Yeah,
of it.
that is the Simpsons version.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Isn't it like use an oil-based paint or something?
Cause the wood is pine.
No, I think it's worth YouTubing it. I Was Born Under a Wandering Star just to hear how bad.
Oh God!
I did
what's
that
his
at
name?
the time.
Yeah, we did at the time.
Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin. Oh, he's always drunk and violent. Anyway, I was going to do that this week. I was going to watch Pearl Harbor because that's supposed to be fucking shite, and I've never seen
Pearl
it.
Harbor sucks.
Yeah,
second half's alright.
And I miss you.
But then I was reminded that I've seen American Sniper, and that's a fucking dreadful film. So I have one bad war film to talk about anyway.
Okay.
Best war movies though. Any thoughts, gentlemen? One of my favorites is Star Wars. I don't know about you guys.
Did you actually put Star Wars in it?
Or War of the Buttons. That's
War of the Buttons? Seriously? So if it has war in the movie the title, we're
technically
just going
a war.
I don't know if that... Does Star Wars count? What do you think?
I think Rogue One counts.
It
depends if you're going genre piece or not. Like, obviously, when people say war movie, they tend to mean... actual historical war.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh yeah.
But obviously, like, again, if you want to get technical, Lord of the Rings, war movie.
That's more fantasy than war movie, I think.
There's still a war in it.
There's a giant
war.
Like,
if you really want to go with the whole Star Wars thing, the universe is at war.
I was making a joke with Star Wars. I don't think that's not a war film. I was just
we can narrow our scope to actual historical combats.
Yeah, like Inglourious Bastards. I know that's obviously like
historically accurate.
It's totally inaccurate, obviously. But when I heard that Tarantino was making a war film, like war films aren't really necessarily my thing. So when I heard he's making a war film, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in this really. But then it came out, and I thought it was one of the best things he's ever done. I thought it was his best since Pulp Fiction. So I really like that one.
See, I like Kill Bill, but that's because I
like
have a
Kill Bill
thing
as
for
well.
Japanese cinema, specifically martial arts films. So
Yeah, I love Kill Bill
I like
as well.
that genre.
Does anyone have a favorite war film?
There's too many for me, but I definitely have a quick list.
all right, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
First one bang off on my list, Black Hawk Down.
Never seen
Never seen it.
Damn. God damn, you need to see that film. We need to add that to our list sometime. That's a fantastic film with an amazing cast. Ridley Scott as well, which is like I don't know for
The only
for me that seems
the only
weird.
bit I know is the bit I remember from the trailer. We got a Black Hawk Down. We got a Black Hawk Down.
Really?
Yeah, I remember the name of the film, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Like, I can't talk more about it now. It's actually a really good film.
How the fuck is American Sniper on this Rotten Tomatoes list of best war films?
It's not
Because
that
it's an
bad,
Oscar-winning
man.
movie,
It
probably.
is.
Yeah, it won one of the shitty Oscars that nobody cares about.
Best Sniper.
We do have a full list of
Yeah.
film. You've got a list. I've got a list.
Yeah.
One of the ones I've got a good.
I'm woefully underprepared.
I went with Rotten Tomatoes because I fucking love
Same
user reviews for stuff like that. Braveheart is up there. It's
Okay.
like 93 on the list of war films. That is an awesome film.
Braveheart.
Braveheart. It really
I've not
is.
seen it in a long time. It's very long.
As Tanya Blakely pointed out the other week, it's like wildly inaccurate, but that's neither here
Yeah.
nor there.
Oh,
I
of
suppose.
course, yeah. They never wore kilts for one.
Hey, if we were to believe all war movies, World War II started in 1942 when America joined.
America.
Oh, I've seen this
44
one.
was it? No.
Tangerines in 2015. I've seen that one. That's a really good film.
Never
It's,
even heard of it.
I know
So
it's
set
a
in-
newish one, but Jersey Fury,
It's
Nope.
Which? Sorry.
That's the Brad
Sorry, go on
Pitt
with Tangerine.
is a
the tank commander.
yeah.
Very good.
Tangerines is about the synopsis set in 1992 during the growing conflict between Georgia and Abkhazian separatists in the wake of the Soviet Union's dissolution. This compassion tale focuses on two Estonian immigrant farmers who decide to remain in Georgia long enough to harvest their tangerine crop. Now, that sounds very boring, but it was a good film.
Mm-hmm.
Tangerines.
I really liked it. That was one of the foreign language films for the Oscars that year.
Oh.
So that's how I ended up seeing it. I'm
If I'm going to jump onto the list, like one I enjoyed, although I had some problems with it.
Yeah.
Platoon.
Oh, yeah.
Platoon. I think that's a great film, and it's so well shot, and it's such a good story, and kind of because it's shown off kind of the horrors of war,
Right.
and I think it's based on I can never remember. I think it's the director. Completely blanking on the director's name now, but the entire film is based on his experiences in Vietnam.
Right.
Okay.
So it's really, really good. Oliver Stone, that's it. Thank you. So his experiences in Vietnam. That real creepy actor is in it, and I'm gonna have one of those nights where I just don't remember anybody's names. Willem Dafoe, yeah.
Forrest Whitaker.
Oh no, I was gonna say Pee Wee Herman, that guy.
Yeah. My only problem with the film, and maybe it's something we brought up during Halloween. If you go back and listen to that episode, they play the theme song an awful lot in that film.
Oh, you gave out about that, yeah. I remember,
Every 2 minutes, it's just dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, by the fifth or sixth time you've heard it, you're like, I've heard this song too much now. Stop it. Stop it.
I think I had the same problem with Apocalypse Now. Didn't they just play Creedence Clearwater Revival's greatest hits for that whole thing?
That's
That's
Creedence
Forrest
is a
Gump
very
Oh,
you're thinking of.
a very war.
yeah, Creedence
run
is
through
a
the
very
jungle.
it's a very Vietnam related band, I would say, because a lot of their songs are very popular, both in the Fortunate Son is the one that always gets played in the helicopter.
Yeah, and when they're going to even in Forrest Gump, there's the run through the jungle. Like that, I think that's
that kind of music I always associate with Vietnam.
Mm.
Obviously, I wasn't alive when it happened, but going back, back in Nam.
Has anyone seen The Wind That Shakes the Barley?
No.
I've never seen that film fully.
Ken?
No.
Moving on. I just wondered if it was any good, but it's on this best list anyway. Oh, Good Morning Vietnam. I've seen that.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Which is one of my favorite lines ever. Which I think is something like, I've never seen a man more in need of a blowjob than you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Do you think that film holds up? Because I've never seen
I
it.
don't
I
know. I've
watched
seen
it
it
at
in a long
Christmas.
time.
Oh,
does it
okay.
still hold up?
It holds up fucking really well.
Anyone ever seen
Really
MASH? That film?
I've never seen the
never
film.
seen
I've
the
seen the
film.
TV show.
Yeah.
I was big into the TV show. Fucking dark.
Yeah.
Like, it's a comedy,
But good, apparently. Though.
but or the TV show anyway. I can't
Yeah.
speak to the film. It's a comedy TV show, but then the ending is very dark, and it's like the ceasefire is announced, but I think they all get killed at the end.
Right. Okay.
So the
Really?
theme song is called "Suicide is Painless"
Oh wow.
or something like
that song isn't as bleak as it. I don't think that song's as bleak as it sounds. A friend of mine
Probably.
is-
I just remember the theme song being called "Suicide is Painless"
Was it by the
or
Beach Boys?
"Suicide is something."
No, my friend Dan Boxwell is a big fan of that song. I've definitely heard it called. I can't place it right now, but I know it's
Mhm.
not as. It doesn't
It's not as bleak as
It's
the
not as-
title
yeah.
makes it sound.
exactly. Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge. Anyone see that?
I haven't seen that
No.
yet, but it's supposed to be fucking fantastic.
It's so good.
This would
Such
be
a-
easier if I search for a list of war films and then
Such a
have some
wildly.
reference.
That's Andrew Garfield. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be he's supposed to be fantastic.
He's brilliant. Yeah, such
That's
a wildly
the-
entertaining film. The Mel Gibson one. Yeah,
The medic who is a conscientious objector.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
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 It's very good. I
I've
like
heard
one a
that
lot.
was Oscar nominated that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was deservedly so. It was fantastic. I like after seeing it, I was like, "Are we forgiving Mel Gibson by now? Is that
Is that a thing?
Is that a thing? Do you have any? Do you have any favorites, Ken?
I'm gonna go with Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
Also an Oscar-nominated film, by the way,
Okay.
for best supporting actor, which is very weird.
I was
Downey
either gonna go
Jr.?
with that or
Yeah.
because it just has war in the title. I'm just gonna say Infinity War.
Hey, still haven't seen it. No spoilers,
Oh,
please.
okay.
All the
I still
spoilers.
need
good
to
shit.
see Spider-Man: Homecoming and Black Panther before I can go see Infinity War.
I know. Okay, so last week you requested me to try and find
Mhm.
a download
Mhm.
Careful.
for Black Panther, and holy shit, there's just cameras.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's expected.
Yeah, really hard to
no,
find
it's
one
just
right
the
now.
timing didn't work, and I was like, maybe this weekend I'll go to a double header. I'll try do like Black Panther, then go for food, and
It's
then go
still in
to
cinema,
Infinity
actually,
War.
yeah.
No, finished on Thursday.
Oh fuck!
So I was like, God damn.
That sucks.
So yeah,
I don't think it's entirely necessary to see Black Panther before you see Infinity War.
if it comes to it, I'll just read a synopsis of it.
I wouldn't
No,
even do
no,
that.
no,
I don't
don't
think you
do it.
don't need to. I don't
Black
think.
Panther's a fantastic.
Yeah,
film.
no, I do want
Like,
to
It's
see
good,
it, but
yeah,
I
I
just
don't-
want to know any of the major kind of hanging points before going to see Infinity
I don't
War.
think, from my record, I've seen Infinity War now.
Mhm.
I don't think it's entirely necessary to see Black Panther before you go into it. I don't think.
If you want to
anyway.
know
Ish.
why,
Yeah, I don't think so.
you go in
anyway.
with a different attitude when Black Panther, the characters from it appear, and you're like, oh, it's
Mhm.
cool.
That's the thing.
Like,
so I wouldn't know any
or-
of the Black Panther characters except for Black Panther.
I would
obviously.
recommend, because of about several lines that are mentioned in it,
Mhm.
you need to know
Yeah.
the references from the film. I'd say it to
Mhm.
you later. But the same with
I'd
Spider-Man:
re-
Homecoming. You don't
Yeah.
know why the
I
relationship.
can give you a lend of Spider-Man
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Well, no, that's on Sky at the minute, so I
Oh,
can
is
watch
it?
that
Oh,
on
you can watch
Sky.
it.
Yeah.
It's fucking deadly, by the way. Saving Private Ryan. I've never
I was
seen
going to
it.
say that's a very good film.
probably one of the best
Yeah.
war
Yeah.
films of all time.
It's
It is
a lot of war films have that problem that they're all 3+ hours long, and it's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
an effort to watch them because you're like, okay, I have to get settled in now. I'm in for the long haul. I'm going to watch this film.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of liked what I liked about Full Metal Jacket
Yeah.
was that it was a nice 1 hour 50,
Mm.
and it didn't overstay its welcome. But
Yeah.
we talked about that in the first part of the podcast.
We did, yeah. We did actually talk.
We did
about
in the future.
it.
The Imitation Game. Anyone see that?
I haven't
With,
seen that.
No.
Benedict
Good, though.
Cumberbatch. It's very good.
The Cumber bitches.
That's the story of the people who broke the German code, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
mathematician
Yeah.
dude.
He plays Turing in it.
Yeah,
Alan Turing.
who got because of being gay. Wasn't he fucking
Chemically castrated. Yeah.
which is
Jesus
really
Christ.
fucked
He also
up.
invented there's a test in computer
The
science
Turing
named
test
after
for
him
AI. Yeah.
that will apparently, if an AI can pass it, it's at the conscious level of like human, or you can't tell the difference between an AI and human if it can
It's
pass
class.
that test.
Huh.
Um,
Full Metal Jacket's on here as well, of course.
Of course.
Should we
Mhm.
take some shit ones?
I have actually. We'll get some from the feed as well.
Will we take a shit one from this list first before I go to the
A
theater?
shit one? It's up to you.
See, well,
I definitely have one or two more.
Another war, sorry, just
like-
one that we've obviously covered on the podcast already. Schindler's List.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, that's
yeah.
Grim,
obviously
Grim
incredible.
would definitely. Like,
but a great film.
What about if you go modern and say Dunkirk?
I wasn't mad on
Disappointed.
Dunkirk. I
I've
didn't like it
also
that
not
much.
and that is
seen
really
it,
high on the
so-
list from what I have seen on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's most
Um,
war movie lists. It's actually quite high
Mhm.
on. I really enjoyed it personally.
Yeah.
The
I thought
action,
It looks
great.
fantastic.
The story was
Great movie.
fantastic.
Yeah, it looks incredible,
You're
but-
right. It's filmed beautifully. The problem that fails it is it's all over the place.
The problem that failed with me was Harry Styles.
Yeah, no,
I liked him in it. I thought he was good in
it
it. I
wasn't
think he did a
too
good job.
Nope.
I just thought,
But it made
I
sense
just thought the film
because
felt
It's
messy.
too hot.
because but it makes sense because when they're in Dunkirk, there's only one direction they can go.
Fucking New York on there. I could tell.
Back
Like,
to England.
Yeah, because of course you made that up, didn't you?
Yeah. No,
Or
I
what
had
about
no
the-
idea. I'd never heard that before ever.
what about the
Sack of
Great
shit.
Escape? Everybody has seen Great Escape in this room. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. You're looking at me with such shock. Yes.
Fucking hell. Fucking fantastic. That was probably one of my favorite war films of all time.
I was trying to explain that to Aiden during the week when we were discussing this on the way to work. And I was like, you've seen The Great Escape, haven't you? And ended up explaining the plot of Escape to Victory to him instead. Completely different films.
Yeah.
Ooh, G.I. Joe and Ninja Battles. I want to see this now. That's
Escape to Victory is also
And
a
he's
war
the
movie.
worst
Worst,
war
yeah,
films
yeah.
of all time.
Rules of Engagement. Yanks. Just the title alone makes that sound
I find a
dreadful.
lot of war films tend to follow the kind of over glorification of how good the American army were.
Especially American Sniper.
Yeah. It's like
Borderline propaganda.
we're
Like, it's a fucking-
we're amazing. We're so good. We take care of
Yeah.
the locals. It was like, and as we talked earlier on in the podcast of Full Metal Jacket, there's definitely different. All right, alternate ones. Inglourious Bastards.
I love that.
That's a very...
much.
I have only seen it once, but I remember it being a very good film.
I've only seen it once.
Film.
Yeah, I've...
Sap.
Oh, that's the Bear Jew. I
Oh.
always remember that. It's
The
fucking hilarious.
Bear Jew.
Oh, I'm actually seeing on the list there The Deer Hunter. Have any of you ever seen
I've
I
that?
never
want
seen
to
that.
watch it, but I've not seen it yet.
I
I think I
remember
might
seeing
own it on DVD and just never watched it.
Well, I remember seeing it years ago, and actually, funnily enough, just quickly pointing on it, my dad actually got me to learn the theme tune of that on guitar for one of his birthdays.
Nice.
Wow.
It was horrible to play.
One I always remember from a kid sitting down with my dad watching war movies. I don't know if you've heard the Bridge over the River Kwai. It's always on at
I've heard of
Christmas.
it, but I've
It's
never seen it,
every
yeah.
Christmas it's on about 4 or 5 different channels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's them trying to blow up the last bridge in Burma
Okay.
and trying to get blown up. It's a fucking fantastic film. I would really recommend it.
Two I've wanted to see and I've not watched them. Clint Eastwood directed both of them. It's Band of Brothers and Tales from Iwo Jima. But it's
Okay.
the same story but from two different vantage points. So one film is the American side of it, that's the
Yeah.
Band of Brothers one. And then Tales from Iwo Jima is the same battle but from the Japanese side.
Right.
So it's the same thing but from a different perspective.
Is the
I
Band
just-
of Brothers not the series done
Miniseries,
by
yeah.
Spielberg
I
and-
might be thinking
It's
of
a miniseries.
Hold
yeah.
on one second.
I'm looking
Because,
right now.
by
It
the
is a
way,
miniseries.
that is Band of Brothers is an absolute.
I got confused. It's Flags of
unreal
Our
fucking,
Fathers and Tales from Iwo
Flags of
Jima.
Our
I think Band of
Fathers.
Brothers is still number one.
Yeah,
on
Band of
IMDb's
Brothers is the
250.
TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still
Band
only
of
watched
Brothers
about
and
half.
Flags of Our Fathers. You can tell some kind of family member.
Jarhead. Anyone see that? It's supposed to be shite.
I've
List.
actually never seen that. That's what's his name, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have you any live feedback?
Yeah, we do indeed. By the way, just to add to the before I finish this list, the number one voted movie of all time for war films on Rotten Tomatoes is Casablanca, which appears on the greatest film of all time as well, which is funny. Okay, we did.
I was
Jets.
going to say I don't give a damn, but
I don't give a damn. Sarah White came to Donald Trump's inauguration, more of a war movie
Hey.
prequel, but still
topical.
topical. Edel with Zero Dark 30 was really good. That is a fantastic film.
I don't think
Zero
I've ever
Dark
seen
30
it.
is the one where they it's the SEAL Team 6 the
Oh,
killing of
okay.
Osama bin Laden.
What do you make of, and this is a kind of
Unreal.
tangential question, but war films about kind of wars that are still ongoing?
Yeah.
Like, is that a bit tasteless?
Not really.
I think it's hot.
It's either going to happen while it's happening or it's 30 years later and we're like, do you remember that? So which one is more is tasteless?
Well,
Or we look back and go, that was a good movie, wasn't it? A lot of people died. Yeah, it was good though.
it's weird. It's like them making World War II movies during World War II. Like, obviously, they made propaganda films.
That's
But
true.
It's just, it seems weird. I remember there was a video game that was cancelled back when the second Iraq war was going on, and the Afghanistan war as well.
Spec
it was
Ops.
that 7
Was
days in Fallujah.
Was that the Spec Ops one?
No, I think it was it was around the same time, but it was different. But it was cancelled because it was literally taking place during the Iraq war or Iraq or Afghanistan war. I don't remember which. But it was cancelled because people are like, hang on, our troops are dying over there. You can't make a thing about that. But now you have fucking World War II zombie games.
Yeah,
So
but
it's like,
every game and war film kills about 200,000 Nazis every time.
you
they
do.
it.
Just you.
Just me.
Yeah.
And speaking of Nazis,
like,
I
come
think
on.
we have a serious contender for future bad film. Tarzan Triumphs is a 1943 adventure film which Tarzan fights the Nazis.
Okay.
That sounds incredible.
Okay, that's got to be added to the list. How
Yeah.
long ago was our bad film?
2 weeks ago, because we watched
We still got
Chun-Li.
another few
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, we got another week or so.
Hold on.
Yeah, it looks good. Any
Oh,
more
I just
look
read
films?
some of the plot.
one I have wanted to watch for a while, and I definitely own this on DVD. Downfall.
Edel just mentioned that. Is a Downfall, she remembers being really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it.
You've probably seen one bit of it.
The
The
one
bit that they
scene-
always edit over Hitler being angry about something that completely is not what that's about.
The Oasis one is still my favourite. Like when
Red
Oasis
Ring of
split up, Hitler's reaction to Oasis split up. He calls him Harry Northern Fuckwits at one stage. It's very funny.
Wasn't it the Red Ring of Death for Xbox?
Mhm.
Was the one of the
Your
first
Xbox
ones?
is red ringed, and
It's
that's
like-
when he kicks into the... And then everybody out.
Fucking beautiful, that scene.
Your man...
We must watch that. It's all in German, isn't it? The whole
yeah,
thing?
it's a foreign
Yeah.
language film.
Cool.
Of the bits I have seen of it, the guy who plays Hitler in that is just, like, does a phenomenal job with it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
He's also one of those ones that in real life he looks completely
Mhm.
different. He reminds me of I don't know if you've ever watched what Narcos. The guy who plays
Nope.
what's his name? Pablo Escobar.
Oh, okay.
Looks completely different in real life. Like, you put on loads of weight
Mhm.
for it. The hair is different. He has that mustache. But when you see him in interviews talking completely different than normal, you're just like, whoa, you really went out of your way to look
Mhm.
like Pablo Escobar. Oh,
One more random aside, it's not related to war films. If you're looking for a new TV show to watch, you should watch Happy.
happy.
It's on Netflix currently.
Okay.
It stars Patton Oswalt and the guy from Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Oh.
And the basic plot is ex-cop turned hitman. His a girl's imaginary friend starts talking to him to get him to rescue her.
Okay.
It's hyper violent.
Look at Ken's face. Like this is you
all I
trying to
can say is
explain a movie or a
I watched
TV
the
show.
trailer, and I'll show you the trailer when we're on break. I watched the trailer and was like, huh, that might be interesting. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. And I don't watch that much TV, but I was like, I'll watch this episode. Then the
Which
next
is
day
great
I was like,
considering on a TV movie
I know.
podcast. But anyway,
and the next day I was like, I'm going to watch another episode of that. And I do want to keep watching it. So yeah, watch Happy.
My brain hurts just trying to think of the story of what you're trying to say it's about.
I'll show you the trailer and then that'll kind of explain some more of it. But yeah, back to the war films. Have we got the bad ones now?
by the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
the Escape to Victory is on the bad list that I have here. By the way, the football one you mentioned.
it's-
a few minutes ago.
It's cheesy because it starred a whole load of football players, like
Yeah.
actual professional
Pele's in it,
footballers.
isn't he?
Yeah, Pele.
Do you ever
I can't even
The
think
Men
of
Who Stare
any
at
more.
Goats.
The
No, I've
Menace
never
there
seen it.
goes. I thought it was an okay
That's on the
film.
bad list.
Yeah,
I
it is,
actually
yeah.
thought that was good.
I enjoyed that.
Yes,
That's
same. George
Whoa.
Clooney.
it's got one of my favorite things when George Clooney just goes erratic and plays some kind of crazy guy,
Yeah.
Oh, like in Brother Where Art Thou and
like in
stuff?
Brother Where Art Thou
Oh,
and
no,
Burn
man.
After Reading.
What
Yeah.
a film.
Fat Man and Little Boy. That sounds good by the title alone.
That's
Yeah.
obviously about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They're the names of the 2 atomic bombs they dropped.
Oh, that's less interesting.
Sorry.
What else? Have we got any more comments?
Yeah, it does. I seen one a few years ago. I think it was called Eye in the Sky. It had Aaron Paul and Alan Rickman, and I think Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren. And it's about American drone pilots. Totally would. Come on, let's be honest.
Helen, I always get her mixed up with someone else. She's the Devil Wears Prada.
No,
that's Glenn Close.
No,
Helen.
No, that's not Glenn Close. Is
no, it's what's her name?
Helen Mirren is the queen.
Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
Streep.
sorry.
You're thinking of Meryl Streep. That's
Yeah,
it.
Helen Mirren
Meryl
is the
Streep.
queen.
God, I would fucking wreck her.
Who? Meryl Streep?
Meryl Streep. Yeah.
Nah.
She's
Helen
such a
Mirren, on the
riot.
other hand. Yeah, still
Yeah.
would.
Judi Dench.
Sorry, Helen.
Oh, this is getting awful.
What? Would you give Judi Dench one?
Would I give Judy Dench one just as Mick's mom comes in on the podcast? Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Don't change the subject. Would you bang Dench in the stench?
Is this podcast turning into a game of fuck, marry, kill?
No, fuck. That's the game we're playing here.
Oh my god.
Fuck, marry, kill. The Dame Judi Dench.
Okay.
Helen Mirren.
All right.
And Meryl Streep.
Okay, kill Meryl Streep.
You dickhead.
Fuck Judy Dench. And what's the other option?
I don't know. I'm too
Marry
horny.
Marry Helen Mirren.
Aiden's laptop is raising off his lap
Yeah.
as we speak.
You love an old elder woman, don't you?
My mind is clouded by hot older women. Anyway.
Mick, you never answer.
Oh, hi, Susan.
Oh,
Thanks for watching.
So going through this bad list here.
Okay, what do you got?
Basic. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I think with bad movies, we're going to have to read the short synopsis.
Didn't Basic have a sequel which is called Basic Bitch?
No.
Basic
Oh,
Bitch.
right, okay.
Basic is the John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it's Pulp Fiction. It was actually the
Alright.
first time they were on screen together since Pulp Fiction.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, and it was... I remember liking it, but thinking back, it's like, oh, it's probably a bad film.
Yeah.
Just go through them here. Delta Force. This list is wrong. Delta Force is Whopper.
Tor's in
Norris?
this list. Isn't that supposed to be amazing?
Hang on.
No.
Okay, I do not believe thoughtco.com is an accurate website. It has Commando as the 10th worst army film of all time.
I'm literally looking at that here, and the guy, the one above it,
Is Rambo, yeah.
The guy couldn't decide on which Rambo to
So
put
2
in.
to 4.
I saw that as well, yeah.
Ninth position.
Did you actually put in greatest war films on Google and look at, you know the way it shows the top things? It's like Saving Private Ryan, Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket. So we're still good, right? Then it goes Platoon, Black Hawk Down, Das Boot,
Das Boot.
The Tin Red Line, Avengers Infinity War, The Bridge Over River Kwai, Great Escape, Schindler's List. Sorry, did anyone notice Avengers Infinity War was thrown in
Yeah.
there
Randomly,
with all
yeah.
these amazing war films?
You gotta get those. You gotta get that sweet SEO juice, Jess. Jess Joe. Fuck's sake.
What
You
did you
are
just-
you his wife?
No.
What
you
was I
fart?
going to say? No.
Had to ask.
Yeah. Something
So
else.
close.
Apocalypse Now I want to see properly. I
I
watched.
do want to watch that as well.
I'd seen about an hour a bit of it. We were at Glastonbury and it was at the drive-in cinema area, and like after a while Adele got very cold because it was like 2 a.m, so we had to leave. But
You could just let her go back by herself.
yeah, I was going to let her walk by herself back to the tent at 2 a.m. No, I decided not to do that. But yeah, she started feeling cold and sick and stuff, so we had to go back. But it was the bit I saw was really good. So, and I did get as far as the whole "I love the smell of napalm in the morning" line, which was good.
You know, Doctor Strangelove appears on the list a few times.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it kind of is, isn't it? Like,
I think we're stretching the definition of war film if Doctor Strange stuff. So I was thinking Doctor Strange. What the fuck is wrong with me?
You ask this every week. Let me just.
Yeah.
So we have 2 rules to add to the drinking game at least.
How many times I complain about being tired and how many
Yeah.
times I complain about my having a child.
Being raw.
I never
You
complain
have a
about
child?
that. I have a child.
fucking hell.
Adele says I wasn't cold. I was really sick. I
That's-
know that. I mentioned that afterwards, Adele. Look, either way, we couldn't.
And
stay
you were
there.
falling asleep.
I probably was falling asleep. That's true. I probably
And
forgot
you're a
that.
useless tool.
She did-
It doesn't say that.
No domestics.
It
on the
does, right
podcast,
there.
please.
Joe, I'll cut you out of my life.
Wow.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Have we got any more live feedback?
No, not really.
Shit.
like on it? No, not really. And we've got through our lists, good
Yeah,
and
I
bad.
think
Yeah.
that
Like-
might wrap it up. That was a very brief overview of every war film ever
We've been
made.
talking for about 10 minutes.
Actually, speaking of
Closer
your
to 32.
wow, what about Behind Enemy Lines?
Wow.
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 What's that about then?
Wasn't that him?
It's a
That
guy
was
who's on the
Wilson?
enemy side of the world.
Behind
enemy
Wow.
lines.
Enemy Lines.
He was like
Enemy.
left behind in enemy territory and he only had like a radio.
Oh yeah, it was
that
him.
got-
I remember
Yeah.
that.
got
That was
cut
good.
out, wasn't it?
Wow.
That was good.
I have not seen it.
If
I haven't
the
seen it either.
reviewing system isn't like on a scale of stars of like 5 wows,
hmm
Ah.
How many Owen Wilsons out of
Yeah.
two
How
do
many
you give?
wells?
That
out of
reminds me.
5?
Do you ever look up This is Spinal Tap on IMDb?
No.
I'll show you now.
Do
what
they
it-
give it 11? out
No,
of
they
10
don't.
stars?
I'll show you now.
I
what
really
they do
hope
with
they
it.
don't.
Why?
Because that's a dumb joke
You're a dumb
for
joke.
your
Did they
proper
actually give it
review
11 out of 10?
aggregation service.
8.0 out of 11.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's all right.
What do you mean? You just said it was a dumb idea.
If it was 11 out of 10, it's a dumb idea. 8 out of 11's okay.
Yeah, but you can't actually rate it any higher than 10. But
Mm.
but yeah, it's just a good joke though.
Your life's
What'd you say, Joe?
Hmm?
What? Anyway,
Mhm.
have we got any more?
No, I think
I got
I'm,
thoughts,
nothing on
gentlemen?
that. Right, I got
I'm
through my
happy
list
enough.
of good and bad.
Yeah.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Apologies for the lack of notice on the question. We would have put the question of the week up earlier, but we kind of forgot. So sorry about that. We all have full time jobs. What do you want from
Yeah.
us?
Our social media manager is getting a whipping as we speak.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd be able to do my job if, like, you know, the podcast had gone up and stuff. But, you know, we had no podcast.
Look, let's stop fucking playing the blame game for Christ's sake.
Hold on, just because the
Did
video
you two
didn't
not
go
just blame me?
up, just because this new video system didn't go up onto YouTube doesn't mean you can't put the question of the week up, Joe.
Also, I didn't blame you, Joe. I took it as all of us. Like, yeah, we forgot. I said we forgot, not Joe forgot. Then he dropped you in the shit. Nobody knew you
I
were a
was
social.
talking about a metaphorical social media manager.
Oh my god!
I will write on you.
I could have sworn you were going to say something else.
I will grind on you. How about that?
I could have sworn you were going to say something else.
That'd be twice today.
Yeah, Mick. If people want to contact
Oh,
us,
fuck you.
and-
Wait, what about
yeah,
Next week's film.
next week's film and stuff?
Oh yeah, next week's film. I have an idea for next week's film.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy your idea.
I also have 2 other ones as well. So
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say my idea. You'll say your ideas, and we'll
and then
see
I'll
which-
pick.
okay.
Yeah. My idea is like simply just there's 2 Blu-rays in my collection that I haven't watched fully.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Actually, no, there's 3. But anyway.
Actually, there's 4.
Actually, no. One of the Blu-rays I've been meaning to watch for a long time since I bought it. I've never watched it ever. Is Inception.
Oh,
So
wow.
I wouldn't mind watching that.
It's a good
so I'm
film.
just throw that
It is
out
a good
there.
film.
Mhm.
I had 2 choices because 2 directions. So one thing we haven't taken
It's a
on.
sequel to One Direction.
Oh,
This Is Us.
don't
Harry
mention him
Styles is
again.
going to be in
Them.
both of
Fucking
them.
hate Harry Styles.
Yeah.
So I had two. Anyway, I totally lost my words there.
I have 2 balls.
I have
Mhm.
2. Do I? Anyway, one thing I was looking through our list because I was looking at like where we put Pokemon and stuff like that, and one thing I
Yeah.
think would be cool was to take one of the films we have, and if it has a sequel, review the sequel to see if it actually does any better.
Oh, right,
One
okay.
thing, and one that I thought stood out. For
Hellraiser
me,
2.
Sharknado 2.
No. Actually,
Fuck off.
actually, the film was Blade Runner 2049
Oh, I've
what'd you
not
because of
seen
how
that
good
yet.
Blade Runner was.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like,
Adele just said, when are we getting a chick flick? That's a fair point.
White chicks. Sorry.
I was going to say Clueless. Because I
and
love
then
it.
the other one was I just haven't seen it, and I seen a trailer the other day, The Raid.
Why
Still
is
haven't
she
seen that.
choosing? She doesn't even go here.
I see what you did there. That was good. That was, yeah,
We
there he is.
could do that. That's a great film, though.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
I've not
No
seen.
Clueless.
I've not seen
It's
either
good
of
though.
them. So
Yeah, oh, they're both deadly.
I just
Adele,
kn-
suggest a chick flick. Quick.
So, Mick,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think we'll discuss off Muriel's wedding.
Oh, she suggested that before actually.
Is that that Jewish one who has the weird wedding?
What's your problem with Jews?
Nothing. I
Oh
just
wow,
I've
Joe!
heard really bad
Jesus
things
Christ!
about that
All
film.
this talk about war
Anti-Semite.
and
Joe brings out the Holocaust.
What the hell?
she said, "I'd
That
be
was
mad. Boy,
gas
that Ken
crap.
is an amazing film."
I know my film is amazing, Adele.
We'll
You can only
discuss
get
it
it on
offline and what?
No, she was saying my movie. I said it's free on Pornhub.
Oh,
Oh,
Hey.
we can't decide now, no?
We could actually. I think Muriel's
I
wedding.
think we should.
Muriel's wedding has been suggested by Edel before. Actually, just to put that out there.
Are we saying Muriel's wedding then?
Don't sound too
wow,
enthusiastic.
Well, no, I've never seen it. I'm just
enthusiasm there.
It's a nice-
sorry. Are
and
we
by the way-
saying Muriel's wedding?
No.
What's wrong with Muriel's wedding? I've never seen it. I've
never seen it. I have nothing wrong with the film.
There we go. Well, then none
like-
of us have seen it, so it's gonna be
As Adele just pointed out, it's an Australian film with Toni Collette.
Who?
Toni Collette. She was in Little Miss Sunshine. She's the mother in that.
Oh,
film.
never seen that.
Okay.
Oh, it's really good.
I should watch it.
That's fucking.
Are we
fantastic.
watching Muriel's wedding?
Yeah.
I'm
Is
up
it
for
chick
okay.
flick?
I think so.
I like some chick flicks.
Yeah, so do I.
We're not sexist on this podcast. All films are equal.
No, just
Why even
anti-Semitic.
bring
for
that
this
up?
guy.
Why even bring it up?
Okay.
Right.
And we'll think of a question of the week and post it promptly this week.
Greatest
Yes.
sequels of all time.
Maybe we should do a sequel the week after, and then have that as the
Yeah.
question for that week. We'll do Blade. Like, how about Muriel's wedding next week, and then Muriel's wedding next week, and then Blade Runner 2049 the following week. How's
Yeah,
that?
sounds good.
That's
Yeah.
the week after. Okay,
And then we'll
cool.
have the sequel question for that.
And then we can come back to a bad film.
Yes.
Oh,
we're due a
shit,
bad.
yeah.
Blade Runner.
Are we
We'll
going to
do
do
shit
that
from outside.
Tarzan war? Tarzan
We'll
fights
see,
the
because
Nazis?
I was
can
I
we?
was gonna suggest there was one I
Oh god,
liked.
you have a
this
bad film?
Black Shampoo.
Oh, you
heard of that.
mentioned this the other week, actually.
I
I've heard of that.
I said it because I was flicking. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to watch. Just trying to watch a film with Jess, and it was like, oh, we'll check Amazon Video because we have it, but we never watch it. And they have.
Sorry, go on. I'm just reading about it. Sorry, go on.
They have like 2 films I recognize, and then a
don't-
whole load of blaxploitation stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
So I just
blaxploitation
saw
films.
Black Shampoo, and it was like, what the hell is that? Read the synopsis and went, that's a film I could watch.
Oh,
Black
Aiden,
Shampoo.
read it.
Black Shampoo, later released as Sex at the Salon, is an. That's why I didn't want you to say I knew you'd like that. Is an American 1976 blaxploitation drama film, apparently, directed by Graydon Clark, starring John Daniels, based on the 1975 film Shampoo. That sounds fucking amazing.
Is there a little small synopsis there?
Well, there's the plot, but I don't really want to read
I
that.
Okay.
read the first line and I was like, that is awful. Wait,
sounds-
what? It went from salon, sex, and then all I read was...
Like you can't even
Wait,
scroll
don't
on its
fucking-
Wikipedia
Sorry.
page.
I know, yeah. Jesus
okay, yeah,
Christ.
we gotta watch. Is that,
We'll decide that when we get to it.
it's a 4.5 out of 10.
He's
okay.
bad, he's mean, and he's loving machine. Nice.
Is that the tagline?
Yeah,
Wow, that's awful.
that looks great. Yeah. So,
right, so that's all
Mick,
that.
Okay.
where can people reach us, and where can they listen to this shit?
So, you can contact us on Facebook. That's
Mhm.
Preachin on Preacher at the movies. Twitter is @PreachinPod. You can email us, although no one ever does, which is preachinonpreacher@gmail.com. Aiden?
You just said it. Nobody ever does.
Okay. And we have a website, preachinonpreacher.com.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to the podcast, we are available on iTunes, Spotify, Mixcloud,
Yeah.
and pretty much anywhere good podcasts are sold.
Why do you always say that? Podcasts are
Awful
fucking
line.
free.
Not if you listen on
Stitcher or
Stitcher.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, our podcast is free.
Our podcast is free. And will
Every-
always be free.
Every single episode is free, so yeah.
But yeah, I think that wraps it up.
And then you can also catch us on YouTube.
Oh,
Search
yeah.
for-
Sorry. Yeah, we absolutely have YouTube now. You can
Yeah.
watch the video portion, or the video version of this podcast.
the whole video.
The
Check it
entire
out.
thing, parts 1 and 2.
Yeah,
And obviously, if you're listening to this now, you're watching on Facebook. So
yeah.
you
Because
can get
we only do part 2 on Facebook.
Mhm.
So if you want to see part 1 and 2 together in a
a
properly
neat
shot,
little package.
properly shot video with proper audio, then that's where you can catch
Mhm.
on YouTube. So yeah, I guess I will see you guys next week then, unless there's any final thoughts from everybody. No.
No, I think I'm good. It was a pleasure recording as always.
Yes. I'll see you guys. See you guys next week then. Keep on preaching.